Hello, this is Wendy Bialis-Odell, the Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Educational Standards. I am here with Chris Rouleau, Coordinator of Curriculum, to provide you with an overview of work that has been completed this spring and what you can expect for next school year with regard to standards-based instruction and grading and support for teaching and learning. In this presentation, I will share information about the restructuring of support that will be provided to all teachers through the Curriculum, Instruction, and Educational Standards Department beginning next school year. I will also highlight changes that were made to the 2013-14 standards-based grading benchmarks based on feedback received from teachers. Finally, Chris and I will share information about the recent grade level meetings we conducted and the action plans to address many of the concerns teachers have expressed. You will learn what you can expect for next year with regard to new instructional materials and program changes. As you may know, the Curriculum Department will be restructured next year to better reflect the needs expressed by teachers and the nature of our integrated approach to providing support for standards-based instruction. Historically, our department has been structured around specific curriculum areas. Beginning next year, our structure will be aligned by level, elementary, and secondary. We no longer will have subject area curriculum specialists. Rather, we will have 8 staff development assessment specialists serving the needs of our sites. After budget reductions, we had budget capacity for 6 positions, and our plan was to have 3 positions assigned to elementary sites and 3 assigned to secondary sites. However, thanks to additional funding from Student Services, 2 additional positions were secured, and the Curriculum Department was able to hire 8 staff development assessment specialists, 4 for elementary and 4 for secondary. The staff development assessment specialist and the curriculum specialist positions are different. Our current positions serve all K-12 teachers in 1 or more content areas. The new staff development assessment specialists will be clustered around grade bands and assigned to specific sites, where they will support all teachers in all content areas. Their work will be focused on supporting teachers in implementing the curriculum, use of research-based instructional strategies, and assessment development. The specialists will work with each site's principal and staff development team to determine a staff development plan for the school year that aligns site and system staff development priorities. We know the needs of sites and departments vary. We believe that by assigning specialists to sites, we will be able to differentiate professional development in a manner that is meaningful to teachers. And by working collaboratively, the specialists will help share resources and effective instructional practices across content areas and schools. Please be assured that the program improvement process and the content-specific work will continue. Teacher leadership has historically been essential to the success of program improvement and will continue to play an important role. You can expect to see your site's staff development assessment specialist in your building on a regular basis. Our elementary specialists next year will be Robin Gonzalez, Shelley Drake, Tammy Provart, and Sarah Luby Morris. We look forward to working with you in our new structure. The second topic I want to share with you is around the standards-based grading benchmarks. On March 22nd, I sent to you a copy of the revised benchmarks for the 2013-14 school year, along with the standards-based grading continuous improvement plan. I would like to take just a few minutes to review the benchmark information with you. As you know, we have been working with a 3-year implementation plan for standards-based grading. However, based on teacher feedback, we made an adjustment to the 3-year implementation plan and added a 4th year. You will see in the newly revised benchmark document that next year, 2013-14, we will continue to work on current benchmarks without adding any new benchmarks. The specific benchmarks we will continue to work on include academic misconduct, assessments, formative feedback, multiple opportunities, and the 0 to 4 scale. This benchmark specifically relates to grading at the secondary level. We know, however, that through our assessment work, we will address concerns about better defining the elementary 1 through 4 scale as well. All of these benchmarks are highlighted in yellow on the benchmark document. There have also been some language changes to provide greater clarity, and those changes were highlighted in green. The third topic to discuss is feedback from the recent grade level meetings and the action plans to address many of the concerns teachers have expressed. We held meetings with teachers at each grade level, with attendees representing most sites at each meeting. Teachers expressed their needs in the areas of instructional materials, assessments, and other areas such as the desired report card revisions. In the meetings, we heard common themes across all grade levels. Teachers told us that our K-6 report cards need to be revised. Our assessments need to be revised or created. We need to check them for quality and align them across content areas as much as we can. Teachers expressed a desire to have all the assessments more aligned with our instructional materials and to make it all make sense and be manageable. We know that we have some gaps in instructional materials that need to be addressed, and we heard from every level that a clear scope and sequence for reading language arts is needed. We know that for elementary teachers, the curriculum cycle is in constant motion. As the state changes standards and we learn more about our learners and how to better differentiate instruction, we need to make changes, and those changes may not always align with the 7-year curriculum cycle. We are committed to responding to student needs and at the same time doing it in a way that is supportive of teachers. To that end, in the next several slides, Chris Rouleau will share specifics for your grade level about what you can expect for next year with regard to instructional materials, assessment development, and other curriculum needs.
Hi, 5th grade teachers. It's Chris Rouleau. If any of you have been in a room with me in the last couple of weeks, you know that my voice has been a little bit curious. I'm hoping I can make it through this presentation and you'll be able to hear everything that I have to share. I am recording this, obviously, and I'll be posting it on the new CIES website so that you'll be able to take a look later and hear more of my fabulous radio voice as it currently stands. I'll also be putting this into a single document so you'll have the information to refer to at a later time. As Wendy shared, we heard several themes that came out in the recent grade level meetings that we held. And for the next several slides, I'm going to share some specific information about 5th grade that will help you to plan for next year and better understand what is and isn't changing. But first, one message we heard consistently from all grade levels is that we need revisions in all areas of our report card, that we need to create a more unified and clear card that parents can understand more easily. Doing that should result in fewer standards for teachers to mark. We should have language that's been revised so that's more parent-friendly but reflects clearly grade level learning. Our plan is to move to an overall mark for the areas of science, social studies, health, art, and technology literacy. We plan to list the reporting standards under each of those content areas, but not ask you to mark each individual standard separately. And finally, we plan for the return of the plus and minus to be used with the OS and N marks that are given in the social skills and work habits section of the report card. In addition to the report card changes, we also have some changes in content areas. In reading language arts, the biggest change is about our writing adoption. We are going into our first year of adoption in the curriculum cycle. We know that there's work to be done. We know that there are materials you need that go beyond a core adoption in writing. We've heard that you would like more informational text, books that are aligned with your science kits and social studies, classroom libraries, and more book room sets. I'm not confident about what portion of our capital budget we'll be able to allocate to those purchases, but we know that it is a priority and we will do our best to support you. In the area of writing, we are adopting a new core program. This is a need that we've heard for the last several years, but have not been in a position to make a reality. The result is that different sites and teachers have purchased materials to address their needs in writing, but now we get to do it as a system. Our new core writing is called Benchmark Writers Workshop. Steve Dunn, who many of you are familiar with from staff development, either at your site or through the summer institutes. Steve Dunn is a writer, as an author of the program. We will be providing training for all of you in the fall, and it will be the core program that we will expect to be used in all of our sites. Excuse me. Teachers have asked when they'll be able to get their hands on these materials. Unfortunately, we purchased these out of next year's budget, which means I can't place the order until July 1st. However, we will do our best to get the materials in as quickly as possible, and when they are here, if they're available and you might have the opportunity to pick up your manuals, we would let you know so that if you wanted to get them to look at before you return to school in August, you'd have that possibility. In the area of reading, we heard requests from every grade level to develop a consistent scope and sequence. Trophies Harcourt has been our scope and sequence for the last 8 years. However, that was based on previous standards, and now that we are using the Common Core State Standards in Minnesota, we have a need to revise. This is big work, and we will be addressing it with writing teams this summer. Having a consistent scope and sequence will help all teachers to know exactly what's expected at grade levels, and it will be clear what our progressions of learning are for our students. Finally, in the area of reading language arts, we've heard that we need to work on assessments. We need to revise them, we need to check them for quality, we need to streamline, be really clear about which assessments we absolutely need to do and which can be optional. We know we need to address some rubrics and really make sure that it's a usable package for everyone. In math, there will be no change to our core instructional materials, but we do know that we have some work to do that clarifies the scope and sequence and the standards alignment. We've heard from many of you that there are things that you feel like you need to spend more time teaching, and then there are things that you're not necessarily sure what attention needs to be given to them. Using our standards and looking at an alignment will help with that. And finally, in the area of assessment in math, we know we have some work to do to both revise standards and the rubrics. Again, identify those that we really should be using and those that are more optional, and make sure that we have quality and an appropriate level of rigor and alignment throughout. Science is not changing for 5th grade for next year. You'll have 3 kits: variables, environments, and levers and pulleys. My own personal opinion is that the environments kit is one of the best kits Voss has ever produced. It's big, I know that. There's a lot to it, but it is a great kit for kids learning about scientific experimental design. Reporting standards have all been revised for science, and we'll be creating assessments that are kit by kit, and the reporting standards are now lined kit by kit as well, and they will be the assessments will be manageable. Finally, teachers have helped us to identify gaps between instructional materials and standards, and we'll be addressing those through our work. In social studies, we have all new state standards for all grades. Fortunately, most of the standards are very well aligned to our current materials and are rather similar to what we've had. There are some new strands, but that information and content is contained largely in the materials that you're currently using. Any gaps will be addressed this summer. That includes assessments too. And finally, in the areas of art, health, technology, literacy, we've heard we need to take a look at all areas. Make sure that the reporting standards, as we discussed with the report card, are reasonable, that they make sense to parents and teachers, and that the assessments and rubrics are aligned and doable. Again, this will be writing teamwork this summer, and we'll be working on those revisions. In summary, for next year, this is what you can expect. New material for 5th grade will be the Benchmark Writers Workshop. We'll work on getting that scope and sequence for reading language arts into place because we heard that very widely that we needed to do that. We'll have some revisions for report cards and assessments that you can look forward to. And we know we need to align our core instructional materials with the standards, with our assessments, and the supplemental materials you have as well. When I think particularly in an area like math, or even in science or social studies, where we provide some additional materials for enrichment or for literature extensions, we need to be very clear about how those align with your core materials and what standards they're addressing. And that's a commitment that we've made. Finally, you can expect to have a lot of support from our team of staff development assessment specialists and the entire curriculum department. We know that this is big work. We know that it's important work, and that our collective commitment to improving and aligning standards, instructional materials, assessments, and reporting practices is critical to your success and the success of your students. We are committed to partnering with you to do this important work, and we look forward to working through writing teamwork this summer with any of you who may wish to join us, and to working collaboratively as we roll out the new model for support from CIES next year. Thanks for listening. Have a great workshop, and please, as always, feel free to contact me if you have any questions.